Let's move on, because it is now 11 years we've been on air, and in all that time there is one vehicle that we have never reviewed, which is a surprise because it's the most popular, important and used vehicle in the world.
I'm talking, of course, about the taxi, the lifeblood of people movement wherever you go in the world. And Britain's contribution to this effort needs no introduction. It's a staple of any London street scene.
There are currently around 19,000 black cabs moving people across the capital, and this vast fleet covers almost 500 million miles a year. There's another. It's now literally everywhere.
London life has caused the black cab to evolve into an amazingly efficient vehicle. Its famous tiny turning circle, for example, is the result of the need to tackle the roundabout outside the Savoy. Then there's the black cab driver.
No cabbie in the world has to go through an ordeal as fearsome as the knowledge, which requires that all London taxi drivers memorise 25,000 streets. The test is so tough, in fact, that cabbies develop an extra-large hippocampus, which is the area of the brain associated with memory, navigation and views on immigration.
Put this combination of man and machine together, and what you have is indisputable.
What you have is, without doubt, obviously, unquestionably, no arguments, the best taxi in the world. Or is it?
The thing is, a New York taxi driver would probably disagree with that statement.
He'd say, yeah, you may have more space in the back, but your London taxi is slow and the ride is terrible. Whereas my yellow taxi has a big V8 and proper suspension. But then a cabbie in Delhi would say my Indian taxi is built to last longer. Basically, every cabbie everywhere in the world could argue for one reason or another that their taxi is the best. Which means, if we really want to find out which is the greatest taxi in the world, there is only one way to do it, and that is, as ever, in the prism of the furnace, through the looking glass of the crucible of motorsport.
That means a race, and the venue for our global showdown will be Lydden Hill in Kent, famous throughout the motorsport world for being the only racetrack with its own cab office.
That plywood cab office looks perilously close to the track. I sincerely hope no harm befalls it. Anyway, let's now meet our grid of taxis from around the world.
Representing Great Britain, we have a 1997 Fairway driver, which, with a mere 320,000 miles on the clock, is barely run in. From Mexico, a 1970 Volkswagen Beetle. 50,000 of these things ply their trade in Mexico City alone. From America, one of the titans of the taxi world, a New York yellow cab.
This particular one is a Ford Crown Victoria, rear-wheel drive, 4.6-litre V8, and in its day good for 130. That's one to worry about.
From India, the Hindustan Ambassador, very much the old-timer here. The Ambassador has been India's favourite taxi for an incredible 55 years. Next, from South Africa, we have this, a Toyota Hiace.
And whereas in most countries they will be rooting for their local taxi, you can expect the South Africans to be booing, because these things are hated and feared for their wild aggression.
Moving on to this, from Germany. It's the Mercedes E-Class. Neat, smart and fastidiously maintained. And finally, from Russia, a stretched Lincoln town car.
Now, that might not look like a cab, but it is. In Russia, rich oligarchs hail limos just like this to get around. So if you think we've included a powerful, rear-wheel drive, 30-foot-long car just in the hope it'll cause chaos, get that thought out of your head.
So there we are then, the world's most iconic taxis, each poised and ready to defend the honour of its country.
Now the cab drivers, and naturally because of the magnitude of what's at stake here, each country has sent its very best.
But they all must have got lost or something, so instead we have the usual ragtag bunch of racing drivers. For Russia, touring car legend Anthony Reid. For South Africa, touring car legend Matt Jackson. For Germany, touring car legend Matt Neal. For India, touring car legend Gordon Shedden. For Mexico, touring car legend Paul O'Neill. For America, touring car legend Tom Chilton. And in the black cab, me.
So here we are, ready to plunge once more into the abyss of motorsport-based scientific research. I should point out it is the custom for Indian taxi drivers to carry a figurine of their chosen god on the dashboard of their car. I think our guy may have overdone it a bit. Guy's getting impatient, that's good. We have the 5-second board. Yeah! Look, the South African is through. New York taxi alongside, German taxi, everybody is through. Absolutely everybody is past. But this is a marathon, not a sprint.
As ever, I'd issued strict instructions for the drivers to avoid body contact. Clearly, the South African hadn't got the memo.
The South African was completely insane, largely out of control. Huge slide from the limo, that's incredible.
But while the Russian limo may have been struggling in the corners, I had issues everywhere.
Yeah, I'm quite badly outpaced on the hill, on the straights, and in the turns. This is all I've got.
However, I had a plan.
When it comes to cunning, remember, black cab drivers do the knowledge. I know where all the shortcuts are. I'll nip down here, love. Thanks to my super tight turning circle, I can make this. That's me back in the race. I'd say more than back in, I am leading it.
Sadly, my fellow cabbies weren't impressed by this tactic, and when they caught up with me, they were quick to show their displeasure.
It was just ramming me. That is just... Oh, you're joking. Yeah. Some good-natured jostling from the other nations.
With the race now at the halfway point, no clear leader was emerging, which meant, inevitably, the drivers began to turn up the heat.
That's been a crash, but we're okay.
Fed up of the South African's hooliganism, the limo gave him a taste of his own medicine.
Whoa! Getting a push now. This is by far and away the fastest I have been. Oh, Jesus. Sorry about that. Oh, God, it's Mexican, isn't it? Oh, that's going to be bad.
With just 2 laps to go, everybody was still running. But then...
Oh, the limo takes himself off entirely. well as Russia, taken out. In fact, America taking itself out as well. Right, still in play we have the Beetle. But the Mercedes holding up well, has really sustained very little damage.
But the marauding South African had other ideas.
Oh! Bad luck.
Now into the final lap, and desperate to beat the remaining runners, I took another sneaky turn.
There is the finish line. I think I could win this. I think I could win it. Oh, no, no, no! It's entirely possible that I am a bit last.
Nevertheless, the crucible of motorsport had once more given us the answer. As it turns out, the greatest taxi in the world is the Hindustan Ambassador.